before there was computers, before there were phones, and I'm talking about the phones that hung on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Before all of that, uh, they all of a sudden came up with pigeons to carry messages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And doves.
And mail. They came up with mail and things like that. People quit relying on their powers, their innate powers, to do the things they wanted to. Spiritual healers
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden became evil when people started falling back on medicine.
Yep.
I mean, total total medicine. When a how am I going to say this? When people remember that show on what is it, Little House on the Prairie?
Yeah.
When Laura and Mary got that thing full of medicines and they were trying to sell them for a quarter.
Yeah.
To buy the pastor birthday present.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. All of a sudden, the stuff that this healer would go out and pick different flowers and things like that to create the medicine to help the heal. People started saying, "Well, I'll just spend a quarter instead of going through all of that. I'll just spend a quarter and have them use that. I'll use that medicine to get my healing back."
Yeah.
So you had physicians. I mean, you had doctors that way back when. Luke was a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Luke that walked with Jesus was a doctor.
Yeah.
Is it possible that somehow, and I'm going to say people got lazy from going out and picking this flower or that flower to do their healing, or because the pastor was so hard in this church, they decided, well, we'll quit. We won't be so hard as that pastor, and the church began losing a little bit of its power.
Mm-hmm.
Look what happened when Constantine said, if you'll let me be the Pope.
Mm-hmm.
That was way back in 325. If you let me be the Pope, I won't persecute the church, and you can do, you just have to worship the Son, the Mother, and me.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's something to think about.
And I'm sitting here and I'm saying,
there's something to think about.
Yeah, that show got me to thinking, and I think it is possible that people.
Well, I mean, some churches lost it because they fell away from the truth.
That's it. That's what I'm saying.
They fell away, from grace and from God, and
they fell into the worship of the Son,
of love too,
yeah. They fell away from worship of the Son, of the.
You can't find too many good churches anymore nowadays,
And the only reason I'm asking is because I was thinking about that just now.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about it last night.
It's something for me to think about too. I mean, it's and most churches has lost,
has lost the power
because they fell away from the truth.
Yeah.
Well, the Bible says in the last days they'll be falling away. There's going to be many falling away from the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something for me to think about too, because which I didn't watch what you watched, but it's something for me to think about too, Was it on YouTube or
Netflix?
Netflix. I ain't got Netflix. You gotta pay for it. There you got it. Netflix is higher now, ain't it? The price went up on that, I thought.
Yeah. But I thought about that, and I thought about that.
The year is 1965. Sandra Waldron and her son Gene have just settled into their new home in Geneva, Ohio. Her husband, Stephen, works at a nearby engineering company.
Hey! How was your day?
It was fine. How about you? Everything okay here?
Oh, yeah.
Stephen is the only father that Jean has ever known.
Great. What's for dinner?
I never really knew my real father. Stephen had been my stepfather since I was 2-3 years old.
Hey, do me a favor and take Gene inside and get him washed up for dinner.
Honey, I've been working all day. I just want to get out of these clothes and relax.
Hey, remember what I said before we got married? Parenting is a 24-hour job, and now you're a parent.
My husband never mentioned that it bothered him that Jean wasn't his child, but I do think it did bother him some. I think he resented it a little bit.
Come on, Gene, buddy. Let's go inside and get...
Sandra hopes that one day Stephen will be able to accept Jean as his own. Sandra unearths an old cornerstone.
Someone had died on our property, and it had been an old schoolmaster that had lived there quite a few years back.
She's intrigued. She had no idea that her property was once the site of an old schoolhouse.
Honey, what are you doing? Come on, let's eat.
I'll be right there.
And wonders how the schoolmaster passed away.
Stephen, did you know there used to be a school here?
What's that?
There's a cornerstone out by the side of the house.
Yeah, I remember our neighbor Denise say something about that.
Sandra has always believed in the existence of spirits and their interaction with the living world.
But how'd she say he died?
My interest in the occult and the supernatural has been with me all my life. There's so much that we don't know. It just fascinates me. I want to know all I can about it.
Wow.
Sandra, please don't start with that hocus pocus garbage again. You know, you've been spending way too much time reading those weird books again.
The supernatural is kind of taboo for a lot of people. My husband was more apprehensive about those things than I was.
Perhaps if you spent more time taking care of the house, that'd be a good idea.
Stephen, I keep the house just fine. And I happen to think that my books are fascinating.
Where are you going? What about dinner?
Oh, I'm done with dinner.
Honey, I'm just joking.
No, you're not.
Sandra's discovery of the cornerstone only fuels her interest in the occult.
I believe if you're open to things, then maybe they can come in.
Hey, it's getting late. Why don't you put that book down and get to sleep?
And I bet you won't leave me alone until I do, right?
You got it.
Over the next month, Sandra soon forgets about the old schoolmaster.
And I heard these heavy boots walk across the floor.
Let's go upstairs, okay?
She assumes that it's Stephen, home early from work.
Stephen? Put your toys, okay?
There was definitely no one there. It maybe alarmed me a little bit, but I wasn't really scared. It just really piqued my curiosity.
Because of her interest in the occult, Sandra wonders if she could have invited a presence into her home.
I decided that, well, maybe it was the schoolmaster that was haunting our house. I wasn't doing anything intentionally, but I could have possibly opened a door.
What are you eating?
A few years
The dry garlic.
and Jean is now 11 years old.
I'm sorry. That's okay. Boys are allowed to be boys.
Just watching this.
I hope that.
Well, you asked what's going on. Remember, I got this camera to make just kind of film. Okay.
All my friends were terrified of my dad. If they were at my house
Well, I'm
playing,
gonna
they
look
saw
to
my
see
dad
how
fall,
long
they
I
ran.
can do a video.
Everybody was scared of him.
Because I've tried the phone, and when I put it on video and just leave it,
This is gonna cost
after a
money.
little while it shuts it down.
Sorry. I'll work it off, I promise.
That goes without saying. You'll work every weekend cutting the grass until you pay for this.
Jean's relationship with his stepfather never really developed.
He was always angry and yelling at me. He never told me he loved me. He never said anything nice to me. And that was never good enough for him.
Stephen, give Gene a break. It was an accident. He was just trying to have some fun with his friends. We could all use a little more fun around here.
Sandra, this is going to cost me an arm and a leg fix. Your son has no concept of money.
Stephen's ambivalence towards Jean begins to put a strain on their marriage.
I'm sorry. I meant our son. Been a long day.
Why don't you go inside and I'll be in a little while to fix dinner.
This is Thursday.
My husband was very critical of Gene. It was painful for me. I loved my son and I wanted him to feel more comfortable at home.
Tell you what, there's a scary movie on tonight. How about we watch it? Okay. Okay.
As Stephen grows distant, it only brings Sandra and Jean closer together.
My favorite thing to do was to watch scary movies. When we were watching movies together, we'd turn the lights down, get some popcorn, and just make an evening of it. It was just a lot of fun. Being scared.
What? You said we need a little more fun here.
Why don't you go have your fun somewhere else and let us watch the movie?
Don't worry, I won't ruin your night. Besides, I'm gonna go watch the game with the guys.
things with you and Stephen lately?
The next day, Sandra and Jean go over to their neighbor Denise's house.
Hey, Jean. Can you go home and get that can of beans out of the cupboard?
Okay, Mom.
Okay, and hurry up, because we're going to eat soon.
I never experienced anything like that before. I just felt that there was something evil in the house.
Sandra believes that Jean was visited by the schoolmaster, but she downplays the incident, not wanting to feed into his fear.
She just completely wrote it off, and I began to wonder later if maybe it was my imagination.
Still, Sandra is intrigued by Jean's encounter. She hopes to one day become a published author and begins to write about his experience. After a few weeks, Jean soon forgets about his unexplainable encounter.
Woo! Yeah!
Instead, Jean has been eagerly awaiting for the boat trip that Stephen has planned for this day.
What are you doing in that boat?
I was just checking it out.
Well, it's not yours to check out, is it?
I wasn't gonna break anything. I was just sitting in it.
Well, then get out of it. You got
It's
no
in the
business
script.
being in there in the first place. Whenever I was around my stepfather, you were walking on eggshells. And you knew if you just said the wrong thing, he was going to explode. And you have no respect. I go out of my way to get this boat so I can make your mom happy and take you fishing. And what do I get?
Maybe I shouldn't go.
Of course you're going. You've been looking forward to it all week.
He's just gonna yell at me. I don't want to go. Please don't make me go.
Okay. Maybe I'll stay home too.
No way, Sandra. What are my friends going to say if you're not there? Under no circumstances are we going to cancel this boat trip.
Just go ahead, Mom.
I am not leaving you home alone.
Sandra, quit babying the kid. He's old enough to stay home alone.
I am not babying him. I'm his mother and I worry about him.
I'll just go to Mark and Jimmy's house until you get back.
Are you sure? Well then, we'll be back at 7. Okay. All right, be a good boy. We'll see you later this evening.
Can you see this?
Yeah.
Jean returns from his friend's house and sees that his parents are still out for the night.
Mom? Steven? Is that you?
on. Tell me what happened. Tell me what's going on.
Gene, it's okay. It's okay. We're home now.
For crying out loud. You were right. We can't leave the kid home alone.
Stephen, do me a favor and just get out of here so I can see what's going on.
Gene tries to explain to his mother what he saw.
I saw a tall, thin man. His face was all red and disfigured, and it just terrified me.
Why am I seeing these awful things?
There's something I should have told you a long time ago, but I didn't. I've got something to show you.
Oh my goodness.
I think the person you saw was a man who had lived here a long time ago.
Sandra tells him about the schoolmaster who died on their property.
He knew something was going on. I felt really bad for Gene. I did, and I didn't want to see him that frightened.
This man, he died right here? In our front yard?
I think so. At least
She goes on to say that she has had many encounters with his spirit and has never felt threatened by his presence.
baby and nothing has ever happened.
Sandra figures that Gene is just overreacting because of his age.
Think of it like one of those scary movies that we like to watch. They're really scary, but in the end, it's just a movie.
Gene eventually accepts his mother's explanation.
She made me feel so much better and not be so afraid, because I knew that my mother was there for me and wouldn't let anything happen to me.
Although Sandra is able to comfort Gene, she wonders if there is a way to remove the spirit from the house.
Well, sure.
Honey, where are you?
Oh, I'm in the living room. Just give me a second, Stephen. I'll be right up.
What are you doing?
Just thought I'd tidy up before I went up to bed. I'll be up in a minute.
Well, don't take too long.